as much as you guys think that I'm this, like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on TikTok. As much as you guys think these things about me just because of the line of work that I do, I just do what I have to do to make ends meet. That has nothing to do with anything.
A few minutes later.
I mean, I make my own money and I don't need this man's money. It's not me trying to get his money. I literally could not care less if I don't get anything out of this except for to find my own voice again.
I don't believe you.
Hey, what's up, fight freaks, and welcome back to the show that brings diehard fans their MMA fix. I'm your host, The Combat Remix, the man that can turn today's topic, which is no laughing matter, into a laughing matter. And anybody watching this who doesn't think the UFC is a college probably has already heard the accusations of TikToker and OF model Meredith Brown, who alleges that the UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira, that he... Okay, how can I put this without being flagged by YouTube? She claims Pereira and her had intercourse that wasn't consensual. And to be clear, Pereira is denying these accusations. But before I give my opinions on this whole situation, my attorney has suggested I give the following statement. Let it be known I was not a witness to any action alleged by either party, nor do I have any certain knowledge that either party is being intentionally dishonest or unethical. The following opinions are merely a reflection of what I believe to be the most reasonable and or probable explanation based on the evidence we have at this time. Okay, now that we got that shit out of the way, let's get to it. Now, for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to be playing every video made by the accuser, because if I was to pause and respond to everything I took issue with, well, my video would be well over an hour. But there are several videos of people doing just that, so I wanted to do something a little different. Now, while there are a ton of people who largely agree that these accusations seem fishy at the very least, I did prepare a little something that demonstrates, largely speaking, why I don't buy this girl's story.
He comes on to me, goes behind me, looks at my ass, and approves to his translator, which is also disgusting now that I know what his intent was, like I was cattle or something. He tries to kiss me outside of Crew's MMA gym. I grab his face and I push him away. I will try to find security footage from a building around it if possible. He won't get off of me. He keeps asking me to go to the bathroom with him, or he's asking Mel, and Mel is telling me this, so I guess this is how he gets away with it, because he didn't technically, well, no, because he did it. He just technically didn't say any of it to my face. He said it to his translator, and his translator said it to my face, but his translator wasn't the one who assaulted me.
A few moments later.
I, quote, said to his translator, trying not to be a prude and annoying, but I told him, I was like, how do I say... you have to work for it. Where we were supposed to be waiting for Alex to get back from an interview, I think he said, and then we were going to go out. He was talking about going to strip clubs and like having a fun night while we were all in New Jersey, New York for the weekend. We wait for like 2 hours for Alex to come while his friend is on the phone talking about like kids with cancer and big money transfers and things that had to do with Alex. And we were like, hey, it's getting kind of late. Like, is Alex coming? Like, what's the plan? I eventually get into bed with him because I was naive, I guess. I didn't think that anything was going to happen. I thought that we were going to be fine. I thought I was going to be able to maybe try and get myself comfortable by getting into bed with him and cuddling with him.
Well, for me, this pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. She claims that she was creeped out. He was leaning in for a kiss, tried to push him away. All these actions were really, as she says, disgusting. But yet she wants to stay and hang out with the guy. And of course, girls just love hanging out with people who scare them to think something bad might happen. But it's not like she could just leave. They had plans that night. I mean, can you really blame her? This is the part where I'm really calling bull. And the credibility of these accusations is lessened even more when, by your own words, you're telling Pereira's translator that he needs to work for it. She tells the man to work for it and wonders why the man actually tries to work for it. And then she goes on to say that she did get into bed with him. Maybe she thought they were going to cuddle or something. So basically, all of that by itself is enough red flags for me to not take her at her word. I don't really buy this story. Even if she's sprinkling a little bit of truth in here, this is still greatly problematic. Personally, I don't think anybody would need to evaluate any more than this, but we are going to dive into a few more specific incidences and kind of hone in on what some of the other things she's saying. But keep in mind, this is all going to be filtered through the lens of somebody telling a man, you need to work for it, and, oh, well, I'm still wanting to hang out with you, and I'm willing to wait 2 hours to spend more time with you, even though I'm super scared. Again, doesn't make any sense.
I'm pushing him off of me. He won't get off. He eventually pulls my underwear and my pants down to around, like, halfway on my thighs, and I push him off again. He gets out of bed, he starts screaming and putting his socks and his clothes on. I'm terrified because I don't know what's happening. My pants are around my legs after I had told him no and pushed him off, and he's screaming in another language. Me and my friend are looking at each other, hiding under the blankets, like about to start bawling our eyes out. And he starts telling his translator that he doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him and my friend, and that he wants them to leave. His translator and my friend leave the hotel room. His translator and my friend leave the hotel room.
Okay, a couple of things I want to point out here. Now, several times throughout all of her videos, you'll hear her say, oh, well, I pushed him off me. And usually when people say that, it's almost as if they're trying to say they're defending themselves from some sort of an attack. And I don't know how we are expected to believe this when she uses the exact same language earlier in the video when she talks about Pereira leaning in for a kiss and she pushed him off. And we know after that alleged incident that she continued to want to spend more time with him and have plans with him that night, and told his translator that he needed to work for it if he wanted to sleep with her, and eventually did get into bed with the man. So I find it much more believable that when she quote-unquote says she pushed him off of her, that it means that she maybe turned away or didn't play into it, or maybe in a flirty kind of a way was playing hard to get. This was way more believable considering the things that she's admitted to saying and doing. And I also find it funny that when they're both into bed together, she says more than once she pushed him off of her, but not once says that she got out of the bed. In fact, she specifically claimed to be in the bed under the covers almost in tears. So I'm having a very hard time wrapping my head around the fact that you would push a man off of you in bed, but not get out of the bed. And this just may be speculation, but I find it extremely funny that right after she says she pushes Pereira off of her and doesn't leave the bed, that, according to her words, Pereira gets upset and starts yelling for his friend to get out of the room because he doesn't want to sleep in the same room as him. So Pereira's friend / translator and Meredith Brown's friend leave the room. But Meredith Brown stays in the room? Or does it make much more sense that the reason you're not leaning into it right away is because you're waiting for the people to get out of the room? Because you're probably not going to be bumping uglies when your friends are sitting just a few feet from you. And I'm not certain what to make of the whole accusation of Alex Pereira yelling at his friend to get out of the hotel room. This could very well be another example of a woman being more concerned with a man's tone than what he's actually saying. And I would especially believe this because Meredith has no idea what he's saying because he's not speaking English.
He starts trying to take my socks off. I try to tell him no, because I have blisters on my feet from walking around New York in heels for like 10 hours the night before, and I had band-aids on my blisters, and they were going to get ripped off with my socks. I tried to explain to him, don't take my socks off, please. He didn't understand that, so at that point, I'm like, okay, fuck. I'm in a room with a huge man that doesn't speak English. He's not understanding what I'm saying. He doesn't give a fuck because I've pushed him off so many times, and he doesn't care, and he, like, got up and screamed and scared me into staying in the room with him and making his assistant and my friend leave the room.
This is more of the same BS, using the line again about pushing him off her, even though all the other times it never deterred her from wanting to leave his presence. And the only example she specifically gives about Pereira being a scary dude is when she claims he yells at his friend. When I'm thinking the only thing that this could even somewhat make sense in my mind is if for like 3 or 4 times he's told his buddy to, hey, get out of here, man, scram, you're kind of blocking me. And it's not like Meredith is going to know if he said this 3 or 4 times earlier, because again, she can't understand him. He's not speaking English. But yet she uses that example to say that Alex forces her to stay in the room when, by her story, I'm not getting that at all. Now, a huge red flag that not a lot of people are going to pick up is the details that she goes into about her not wanting him to take off her socks because the blisters, and she was walking all day in New York and she has Band-Aids on, and if she takes off the... Yeah, see, when you go into that much detail, experts will tell you that it's a side tangent that typically means the person is lying. Now, it's not a guarantee, but it's evidence.
At this point, I know what's happening. I've been through this before. I know that it's just easiest if I just shut my mouth, do what I have to, put on whatever performance that I have to make it end. He puts me on top of him so that I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to say on TikTok. He puts me on top of him so that we are... I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but he puts me on top of him so that we're 69ing. I think that it's just going to be, like, normal. Like, he just pressured me into having sex, and he scared me into having sex with him. It's whatever. Like, it's nothing that hasn't happened to me before. Like, I'll just, keep it inside like I usually do and just live with it. He starts using multiple of his fingers, forcefully pushing them into my... I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not. Everybody's asking for an explanation, so here it is. This is literally just the truth. It's disgusting and embarrassing, and I've tried to make this video so many times, and I keep crying, and I just feel disgusting and humiliated and violated, and I know people are going to laugh at me, and people are going to say that I deserved it and think that it's funny what I'm about to say. You can laugh, it's whatever, and, like, I just thought that, like, this would help me heal by talking about it. He's basically fisting my... at this point. It hurts really bad, and I'm blacking out and disassociating and, like, just trying not to be there while it's happening. Before his assistant had left the room, I had told him to please tell Alex that I was very nervous. I don't put out on the first time meeting somebody like that. Please emphasize to Alex that I'm very nervous. I haven't had sex with a lot of people. I have a lot of sexual trauma. I freeze up in the moment, and I am not able to have sex with people like that when I first meet them, and I told his translator to tell him that. He picks me up from off of on top of him, asks me, the only time he spoke English this entire time that I was with him was to ask me to help him put it in. I tried to put it in, but I was nervous, so I couldn't. So he did it, and he put it in my ass, and then he to me.
Now, during the portion when she actually describes the intercourse, by her own words, well, she just thought it would go better for her if she just went along with it. And at one point even says she assists him in trying to insert himself inside. Again, I'm trying to be real careful with YouTube. In her own words, she tries to say that, well, maybe she feared a big, strong, angry guy who got upset. But the only direct example she gave was... he kind of yelled at his translator to get out of the room so they could do it. But the real nail in the coffin is, after all of this, it's been reported that the accuser has deleted some, if not all, her social media. And what looks even worse is that her friend, who she references as a witness, I think this is even her best friend, unfollowed her on social media. So this really looks like she's not even buying her friend's story. But after listening to everything the accuser had to say, and again, more information could come out at a later date, but as of right now, there is no way that I think Alex Pereira illegally and forcibly committed such an act. I am curious to know if at any time in the future some charges will be brought up against either party, only because I'm not 100% sure if Alex Pereira would actually sue this woman for defamation, but there is a chance. Either way, Fight Freaks, I do want to hear your opinions in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Go ahead and give it a like, and a huge thanks to my live studio audience. Remix is signing out, but I'll be back to bring you your MMA fix.